Hare Krishna, welcome to a new video, to an interview. We have here in the studio today Martin, who is originally from Hungary, but is a professional fitness trainer.
Yeah, that's right.
In a
I
nice,
live in Switzerland right now.
lives in Switzerland, a nice hotel, training hotel guests there.
Yeah, as well as managing the facilities.
Okay.
So other gyms belong to us as well. So I oversee the fitness side as well as the business side.
And today we have him here in the studio, and we will talk about how to strengthen the immune system, especially nowadays where this is so much challenged and also psychologically challenged in this crisis. So you will
maybe more than anything,
and you will give us some tips and advice how to view this whole situation and how to strengthen the immune system, and let us see from there how we go into our interview.
Certainly. That's what was the main thing that I noticed over the last 2-3 months is that actually there is a defense mechanism against any health challenge you might face in your life. And funnily, there was not a lot of spotlight put on that. It's the immune system. Everybody knows that we've been blessed with a defense mechanism. Our body is actually an amazing mechanism or system of mechanisms. One of them is how our organs are working hand in hand to face the challenges of the outer world. And it was odd to me that we went into this crisis willing to really sacrifice a lot, probably going into the biggest economical crisis of all time or of our lifetime, possibly. Yet, almost no word on how to look after the immune system. So I thought maybe that would be also an angle too. Yeah,
because would be the most important thing. If there's a virus, a crisis, everyone tells, okay, the virus comes, so this is how you most probably will not be affected. So, but there was lots of panic, and now waiting for a vaccine, and no actually more positive help offered.
Yeah, that was an odd approach. Not denying the things that the mainstream propagated, but there was a huge lack on the other part, which is prevention and generally just being healthy. I mean, there is not a better thing you can do to your communities than to keep them healthy. So on that note, really some contradictions happened as well in the last few months. If just tell you one, isolation is actually not a great answer if you want to boost your immune system. So we should remember that. I hope there is no more lockdown coming. But if that comes, please keep in mind that this is not your best bet. Try to be with yours. Try to be with your tribe. Try to be outside within legal framework, whatever place you live on this earth. Everybody had a little different approach. But when you live in isolation, your defense, the cells responsible for defense are down-regulated, and the cells responsible for inflammation are up-regulated. So you are actually creating yourself health problems in isolation. There is a reason why we all live in societies. We laugh together, we cry together, we dance together. And we live in families, and those families connect into communities and towns and so on. There is a very good health reason to that.
So this is kind of the first point you want to make, that isolation is bad for the immune system.
It is bad,
but more from like an emotional, psychological point of view.
Not quite.
What makes the immune system strong when we are
we're exchanging viruses, we're also exchanging antibodies. If you have a look at the small kid always trying to put everything in his mouth when they are babies, they're not really doing it out of being dumb. They are actually building their own immune system. They want to see what's the reaction to this, what's the reaction to that. And of course, at one point, the mom will say, okay, enough now. But to completely bring up a child in a bubble where he or she cannot do that would be very dangerous. That child would be exposed to so many things when he or she gets older. So the natural way of immune system is not actually something that you could define or touch. It's how the other systems in your body are working in harmony. Okay, and this is happening through teaching, it's happening through interaction with the outer world, and it's happening even through handshakes. We are exchanging constantly viruses, bacteria, antibody as well. This is how we are strong as a tribe. And the other, so yeah, there is an emotional side, but there is a very scientific based side. When I said the inflammatory cells are upregulated, it means that when you are in isolation, typically there is a stress involved. The stress of who loves me and what comes next and all these things. They are emotional, but they have very physical consequences in your body. Not knowing what comes tomorrow is keeping you in a stress phase. And the stress phase means that if a virus comes, your reaction will not likely to be defense, it will be likely to be inflammation. So to spread the viruses, that's what you're training for, which is very ironic. If you just think about, I think every family have stories like that grandma leaves this world and within a year grandpa goes too. Often cases it's because grandpa got isolated through that. His only tribe member, the love of his life, goes, and the family only visits him every now and again. So he is now in isolation, the same way we as a planet were in isolation for 2-3 months. And that's not doing any good for his survivor. He's basically preparing to die at that point. So that's, I think, a good way to think about isolation. I'm not saying anyone to go against the law. Be sensible, but if a lockdown comes, I'm praying there is not another one coming, then remember that you're not actually building your house and you're not actually doing something beneficial by isolating yourself. Try to make sure that as much you can legally and sensibly, you are still maintaining human interaction, and also be outside. Okay, there is no better recipe for a strong immune system.
Interesting. Lockdown comes and they tell everyone stay at home.
Yes, exactly.
Stay in your house.
yeah, that's really ironic.
Forbidden
even if I'm like optimistic and I think that their intentions were good and they sort of wanted to protect us.
Optimistic, yeah.
Yeah, it's an optimistic view. But this is how it was sold, that it's a protection of the people.
Okay.
And I think that, even in the government level, medical profession level, there are really good people. So I want to think that, yeah, sure, many of them carried this flag, the lockdown flag, with the good intention. Yeah. Let's save lives. Okay, but also let's remain sensible. Never in the history was answered to isolate healthy from the healthy. Even the word quarantine is to isolate the sick, not the healthy. So healthy I'm healthy, my mom healthy, and we both live in isolation. That was never an answer to anything in the history. If anything, what I learned is that in trouble we stick together, right? I think if trouble comes, then we hold hands and together we can be stronger. And back to the point of living.
This is a good second point you made, that isolation or that quarantine is for the sick. Normally you take the sick and don't lock down everyone.
Exactly.
Which was also a weird approach to the whole thing. So maybe now in the first part of our interview talk, we take more the naive approach and the optimistic, that they just did out of good reasons, but we've saved the pessimistic for the later maybe.
I would really like to speculate on that with you, but I think speculation is the word, because I'm no shape or form qualified to know the big dealings of the world, economic, social aspects. I'm not blind, and I think just because you didn't study in that direction, it shouldn't mean that you cannot form opinions.
Exactly.
We can all form opinions.
Yeah.
But what I spent the first half of my life was this. I'm a sports teacher by education, and I always felt that my mission, the reason why I wake up in the morning, is to stay healthy and advertise it to the rest of the people, whoever I come in contact with. If I can just make a little push towards a healthy lifestyle, then it was a good day.
Yeah.
So that's why this would be my main aspect. And back to that, what you said, that they expected us to be in the apartments. Again, very bad idea, because what will build your immune system, we could go through that step by step, but one of the main players here are the sunlight. Let's say our father looking down, you could see the sun like that, and you should never stay away from your father. The natural waters of this earth, submerging in a sea, submerging in a river, in a lake. Again, huge immune booster, and fresh air. None of these you can get in the apartment. So I heard that some places respected that and didn't bother the people who were in the parks, but I also heard the opposite from some countries.
Some countries, when you sat on a park bench, you got a fine.
You got a fine.
The police comes, it's not allowed to sit on the bench.
And then
you have to move.
Yeah. And when they said that, they were not 2 meters from you. They were holding you. Ironic.
Yes. Okay, so what is the next point on boosting the immune system, what you would say?
Right, so I think being outside would be maybe the first point that I want to make. Never accept a lifestyle where they don't let you outside. That's not even possible in prison circumstances. I think there is even there I don't know, but I heard or I've seen in movies that there is a separated time where you can be outside. Filling your lung with fresh air and being exposed to sun is creating magical reactions in your body. Naturally, I don't think that we should supplement vitamins under normal circumstances. Normal circumstances, I mean when you grow your own vegetable and cook it in your own kitchen. But we know that it's getting rarer and rarer and that we can do that. So everybody knows what the sun is doing is generating vitamin D in our body, which is one of the main players of a strong immune system. If I could point out vitamin C, D, and zinc, these three are, let's say, the building blocks or the soldiers that will first go and deal with the intruders. And I can tell you from my experience, I'm a sun lover. Whenever I get 5 minutes chance to be on the sun, I will be on the sun. And I don't remember the numbers when I did the blood test. I think the borderline was 200 EU, international unit, I want to say, for the vitamin D. And I was just around that level. So I thought, oh, my vitamin D will be like the best in the world. I live on the sun and all that. And funnily, no, because we don't really eat the right things. Our ability to create and absorb vitamin D is also compromised. So if I'm borderline with my vitamin D, then you can imagine those people who sit a lot in the front of the computer and don't have this habit of being outside, or even if they go outside, they put a cap or some sunscreen, their vitamin D level must be criminal. So that would be one thing that I might supplement. Okay, if you want to look into how you can supplement a healthy diet, then vitamin D would be one thing to look into, and also being outside.
And there are different Ds, or D3, D6, or this and that. Is there a difference, or what is the difference?
I wouldn't be able to tell you. So D3 is what the body creates normally when it's exposed to sun, and D3 is also what it comes in supplements. It's oil soluble, so the best ones are actually already inside coconut oil or some sort of oil as the carrier of this vitamin. There are water soluble and fat soluble vitamins. This one needs fat to be absorbed. So supplementation, being outside, being with your people. There is an interesting study that I read a few years ago. They were measuring scientifically the effects of eating in isolation or eating with your loved ones. And you would think that there is only some sentimental effects to that, but the food once went through the digestion system of the person who ate the same food in isolation was much more acidic. Now, if we think about immune system being prepared for dangers of the outer world, such as a virus, then we can also think about the pH scale, and you never want to be in acidic. Anything that is acidic, an acidic lifestyle, an acidic residue in your digestion system will always just drag you further down the disease, further down the inflammation. So you are looking for alkaline processes, and eating in isolation versus eating in integration, eating with loved ones, is creating exactly this pH game where 7 is the neutral. You are 7.36 as a whole when you're born as a baby. If you measure all the pH together and make an average, a Durchschnitt, then that would be 7.36. So that's your happy zone. And then you start your lifestyle, and maybe you go down a road where you eat red meat or alcohol or chocolate. You will not struggle to find things that are very acidic, and they will start to drag you more towards below 7. At 6.9, by the way, if your blood drops under 6.9, you die. So there is a very small zone that the blood can tolerate.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but that's just the blood. The digestion system can take anything. A coffee is pH 2. The battery acid in your car is pH 1. That's how bad things can go.
Coffee, chocolate, meat is very bad.
Yeah, it's very, very easy to remember what is bad for the pH, because everybody knows that these things are bad. There is no vegetable or fruit that leaves an acidic residue in your digestion system apart from potato without the skin.
Potato without the skin.
Yes, and funnily, that's the only thing that people love, chips. That's the only thing. Other than that, whatever the nature gives you, and the first thing is that you're not peeling it, it will leave a very or a slightly alkaline residue. Because that's another important thing, is that I'm not talking about the pH that you measure on the plate. I'm talking about the pH that it will leave once it went through. If you think about a lime or a citrus, normally they are very acidic on your plate, but they are super alkaline once they went through your system. If you put just one slice of lemon in your water, already you made your water more alkaline. So it's not about how that fruit is on the plate, what it does to you.
Yes.
And there is no fruit, no vegetable that will not leave you with a little gift of alkalinity. But there is almost every processed food, every meat, and every toxic habits, smoking, drinking, leave you with acidic residue.
So maybe this is an interesting point. So it's a strong argument, of course, for vegetarian diet. And now that you are a fitness trainer and you are in good shape and you're building muscles also, and some might say, but you need meat for that. Right? Do you hear this sometimes, this argument? Why are you vegetarian as a fitness trainer?
Yeah. Sometimes people are surprised that I'm vegetarian. But I'm vegetarian for more than 20 years. And even in those days, first I just went vegetarian thinking, okay, I might lose muscle, whatever, but I'm doing the right thing. I'm not eating my my friends. So that was my main thing. But then soon enough, within a month, I figured it out. Just from my country, 2 major Olympic gold medalists are vegetarians, and one of them is a kayakist, which is a heavy, it's a heavy duty sport. Right. For kayak, you need muscle and you need stamina. And then I realized that there is no connection between eating meat and being strong. You can be super strong as a vegetarian. And since then, fortunately, there seemed to be a good vibe, an upward spiral in the world of vegetarianism and veganism, and even vegan bodybuilders appeared since then, right, who are twice as big as me. I'm not big. I'm more into mountain runnings and swimming. But there are people with proper bodybuilding muscles, and they don't eat meat. So never afraid of that. If your goal is to maintain muscle mass or put on some muscle mass, all you have to think that every kilogram in your body should get about 2.5-3 grams of protein. So if you are 70 kilo, then 210-250 grams of protein per day you need not to lose muscle. And if you mix it with physical activity, not only not losing muscle, you actually gonna be anabolic, so you actually gonna build muscle. So, catabolic is when you build your muscle down. Anabolic is when you progress your muscle mass.
What is protein? What food is protein?
Well, for a vegetarian, the great source could be chickpeas, basically all the beans, lentils, and of course, if you are vegan, then less so. But if you are vegetarian and you still eat milk, then cottage cheese is crazy high in protein. What I personally love is seitan. Is derived from wheat. It's basically the protein part of wheat, and I mix it with chickpeas flour. And after that, I just add water, and you can play with it endlessly. One day I make it into some Mexican taco type, and another day I'm cooking Italian with it. You can form it, you can cook it, fry it. 90% protein is what you find in seitan. Mm-hmm. The reason why I put a little chickpeas flour, it's maybe a good practical advice for everybody who's looking for good protein intake as a vegetarian, is that it's not just about protein, it's also about amino acids. Amino acids are the building blocks of protein and also the building blocks of muscles. If they are not freely flowing in your bloodstream, your body will struggle to build muscle. And there are 3 essential amino acids that your body cannot create, and then there is, I think, another 18 that you can create once the 3 is inside you. And seitan is a bit incomplete in this regard. That's why I put in the chickpeas, because valine, I think, is the name of the 3rd essential amino acids that is not present in the seitan. So this way I keep a biologically complete, biologically available protein source to myself. Mm-hmm. And I love quinoa on the side. I like also eat brown rice.
What about couscous?
Couscous is fantastic, yeah. Mm-hmm. It also has some protein. It's still mainly carb. So that shouldn't be the protein part of your meal, but it's a great side dish. Mm-hmm. And obviously, as the day progresses, you should cut the carbs, because carbs are meant to create instant energy, and unless you plan to, chop down the forest after 6 p.m., maybe it's a good idea to cut it off as the day goes on. We can always think about metabolism like the fire. You want to create a big fire in the morning. I think that's how you guys eat here. As I see the plates in the morning, and that's really intelligent. Before 12 noon, it's all about making that fire. Put in heavy carbs and prepare for a physically active day, but then think about how that fire will nicely die as you retire from the day. And that's, if you think about it, it's the exact opposite of what many people in my life do. They wake up and, I don't feel hungry, it's just a coffee for me. Yeah, sure, if you put extremely acidic thing in your empty stomach, you will not feel hungry. But then when they get back from the work 6, 7, 8 p.m, they just grab the door of the fridge and eat whatever they find, which is it's contradictory. In that time you should nicely trim it off and prepare for a good night's sleep. Back to the
so
thing
just to recapitulate, so no isolation, stay with people, fresh air, sunlight, and right diet. This is so far what we discussed for.
Yeah, absolutely.
So now we come probably to another point, or next point.
Just the sleeping. So
okay, sleeping.
Sleeping. It's also a quantity and a quality game as well. So I would imagine, I don't know how the lockdown was for you guys. I had phases, really. And once I thought, this is exactly what the planet needed. There are no airplanes, and this will be the generator of something great and pure. And we needed this sort of step back. And other times I was also stressed, not really knowing where the world is going and when will be handshakes normal again, and when will be the freedom there that I experienced as a kid, because I felt that the freedom was taken away on the spot. So I had these waves, and obviously on those days when I was not doing fine, not doing a good job handling this situation, my sleep quality was also compromised. So make sure that you don't go to bed with this type of thoughts. Generally, don't tackle big issues after 6 p.m. If I say don't eat carbs after 6 p.m., it would be a good idea to not try to change the world after 6 p.m., okay? Yeah. Because then you're going to go with that train of thoughts in your bed, and even if the watch shows that you had 8 hours of sleep, it's not going to be quality sleep. And without quality sleep, your chances of a strong immune system is strongly compromised.
Should not read heavy news at night before
you
sleep.
Oh yeah.
Like Srila Prabhupada always said, right before you go to sleep, you should read Krishna book.
Yeah.
Read about Krishna.
I think that's the best advice you can give. Or next to that, also feel grateful. That's a beautiful feeling when you are just grateful for having the life that you have, for having the people that are in your life, and of course grateful for our Father, God, Krishna. These are beautiful thoughts to finish the day on, and then you're gonna sleep like a baby. You might want to have a herbal tea. Many herbs are calming you, but not in a strong stimulant way like a pill would, but in a very generous way, preparing your body for something calm and something rebuilding, because sleeping is not just calmness, this is also a lot of work for your cells to rebuild. This is really when you become strong. Even if you think about fitness, you're not making muscle in the gym, you're actually destroying your muscles. You teach your muscles to lift, and then there is no more. What just happened there is that you broke up muscle tissue. It will be repaired when you go to bed. So you are getting stronger in your sleep, not in the gym.
Interesting point.
Yeah, that's why it's a sacred part of the day. When the sky gets dark, it's a sign that now you should also focus on those processes, retire, and don't get mad and panicked in your own head. So one of the main components, yes, your immune system, to carry on with the recap that you did, is also sleep. Nutrition, sleep, normal social life that also includes outdoors, and water. It's crazy. When the lockdown started, my mom sent me an article from a Japanese medical magazine that claimed, you guys can look it up, I'm not a doctor, so don't take my word, but it claimed that regular drinking of water, so this sort of sip by sip through the day, which I do, and in the summer I can get up to 5 liter, the winter about 3 liter. This, even if you did contract virus, it will flush it down, and your stomach is so heavily acidic that the virus have no chance there to survive. So even if you did catch, they talk about these droplets flying through the air, like basically we sort of spit on each other, which, yeah, sure, on a microscopic level, I'm sure it's happening. Let's say that something bad traveled with those droplets that you picked up through the day. If you are in the regular habit of flushing, those viruses will no chance to really expand and inflate, because they will be flushed down the toilet essentially. And I drink to that, cheers. I love water. I drink it all the time. If I don't drink it, I get headaches. So my addiction is water, nothing else. I love water. And celebrate water, guys. Try to drink more and more. I don't know why, but I saw that, okay, this will be now the main rhetoric of the virus prevention, that the governments all over the world will say, drink water, hydrate yourself. Never heard of this again. Japan, I think, didn't do a lockdown or nothing too crazy. And there it's a well-known saying that one of the best things you can do is water. I never heard a word about this here.
Yeah.
Crazy, right?
No, it's really crazy. Really crazy.
Yeah. Because I think for me it's a great advice, and it makes sense.
They all say the crisis will be over when we have a vaccine.
Yeah. I think that's really where they push it. I even heard government leaders saying no normal life before vaccine.
Exactly. Yeah, yesterday I heard a statement.
What a dangerous message. Jesus Christ. It's basically saying that you as a body is not equipped, but we have something that will be able to equip you with this. That's you cannot think of your body like that. This is an insult. It's an insult to your body. It's an insult to your intelligence.
That's one of the points also you make now in this interview, more or less, that we have everything. The body is complete. And as I said, it's an insult to the body to think that something from outside has to come that we can live or survive.
Yeah,
we don't need all that.
A highly chemical modified something from a lab is what my God-given natural body, made of fire, wind, earth, and ether, will need. It's an upside down way of thinking about the world. As long as the vaccine is not mandatory and it's not the center of our universe, so be it. It's an interesting segment of the medical world, but if it becomes mandatory, even more, it becomes the currency of your freedom, because if you are very pessimistic, then you can see that maybe this will be the green light to work, the green light to cross the border, the green light to go to a football match. Like you will be completely an outcast of the society if you don't have the vaccination. Now, there, I'm a very peaceful person, total pacifist, vegetarian, or don't believe in any form of violence. But this is something I would go out to the streets for. If they say that my freedom depends on vaccination, I will not voice my opinion on that.
Yeah, we should not. We
should, because at the end of the day, this is our body. It's already a little bit strange that somebody says that I'm gonna protect you, so I'm just gonna lock your door now, okay, and you stay in. That's already a little strange. Yeah. Last time I checked, there are human rights of movement, of speech, of work, and of religion. Practicing religion, free speech, freedom to work, freedom to move. These are basic human rights, so this is not something that they can take away from you like this, like, oh yeah, we know what we do. This is already something to question. But when they actually want to get into my veins, then we have a problem. I'm afraid.
And we can be a little bit afraid because, as you said, they took away these human rights and the protest was not strong enough. Now it gets a little bit, it gets some drive, but still not enough. And the majority of people, especially in Germany, are kind of okay with it.
More than okay. I think some people are enthusiastic about how we tackle this virus.
Exactly.
And there is also something called the Stockholm syndrome, where you get some passionate feeling about the people who log you in.
Yeah,
it's a strange psychological phenomenon, but I see it all over the world. Like
also in kidnap situations, so that the kidnappee likes
your
the
normal
kidnapper.
Your normal reaction should be that you oppose against that person, you rebel. But if they suppress you long and strong enough, then you might actually try to have start to have an affection to the forces who suppress your freedom. I think I never thought that I'm gonna see things like that, but when they lifted the lockdown in Italy, quite a few people went out and say it's not okay. Like basically they were protesting for less freedom. But I felt for them from my heart. If all you did was listening to the mainstream media in the last few months, you must be really in a difficult state.
Yeah, this is also very important advice. More or less, I'm not more or less on this point to not read any news anymore.
Yeah.
I see the lies everywhere, the manipulation.
I agree.
And even though I know it's manipulation, it's somehow affecting. So I don't want it anymore. I don't believe them. I don't like them.
Yeah, I think it's a really good point. It's time not to talk about this. And you know what? Let's have a day-to-day approach where we, based on our own reality, we will decide what is important. And if one day the coronavirus is actually becoming important in your own life and environment, time to talk about it, but not 24/7 flooding with us with something that is actually otherwise would not be a part of our life.
Exactly.
Because that's another thing that before March, did you ever think about respiratory problems? No, because you should have, but many people die with respiratory problems. I myself have very severe asthma, so I would be the first one to die. Before you think that I'm such a justice warrior speaking up against lockdowns, actually I would be the first one to die. Half of my lung is filled with liquids since I was 12. There is no cure to it. I say asthma so people don't ask more, but it's not asthma, as I have difficulties breathing out, not in. But I don't use it as an excuse. I use it as a reason to be healthy and strong. And interestingly, these respiratory problems were never main news materials. Nobody cared about them. I could tell you my stories and everybody was like, okay, cool, good luck with that. Now all of a sudden one type of respiratory problem is the center of our universe. It's taking over every conversation that humans can have. It's taking over every procedure of how we eat, how we fly, how we afraid of each other and all these things. So I think is a very good advice to not talk about this if it's not necessary. We should be intelligent to know what is necessary. It might be necessary to talk about it in certain circumstances, but it's not worthy for your whole day and your whole news input.
Yeah. So maybe vaccination, or what I wanted to say, because you said it's a currency for your freedom.
Yeah.
Happy currency, which is a nice expression, and it's actually also worrying. As I said, most of the people seem not to have so much problem with these measurements, with this, and what will happen if comes this vaccination, and if comes the heavy propaganda for it and for a mandatory vaccination. I think it's possible they go through, but at the same time I see a light of hope that many people now online, but also on the streets, objecting to the vaccination, and there's more information about it, more people get informed, and I think it will be very difficult, and I hope for that it's very difficult to push through a mandatory vaccination.
Yeah, I think countries will have huge differences on this. Based on how their legal structure is. So in some places it will be easier to pull through.
Which places are easier? I think in France and Italy they have already a lot of meditation.
Yes, and in US it's already a practice that you cannot even renew your driving license if you don't have some states. US is not a uniform country. There is a federal law, and that's light with the vaccination, but I think in California you're not going to get any education if you don't have already a set of vaccines in your body. So based on that structure, they can just expand this. And as far as I understand, this is not one vaccine. This should be an ongoing process.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because everybody knows that there is a flu shot that you can take. I never. I mean, if that's your personal decision, sure, go ahead. My advice would be to keep your immune system strong. You can go through a winter with some minor illness. That happens. Even I feel a bit off for a few days every winter, despite having a immune conscious life. Okay, that's fine. My body has a little battle there, but it's much more beneficial for your future if you think about your immune system, as opposed to think that you need something external to help you out. Now, the things with the flu shots is that the flu is different every season, so you are going and taking it again and again, which basically let your immune system forget how to deal with real viruses, because what you get in the vaccine is also interesting. That first of all, you're gonna get some cells of an animal, because they infect a diluted version of the virus. They infect it with normally pig cells, because pig and us have sort of similar DNA, and this is the cocktail, alongside with many heavy metals, what they put through you, with the hope that you're gonna create an antibody to it. That's the idea.
Hope.
Yeah.
So it's not even sure.
Yeah, I don't think that the statistics are great on how effective they are. That's why you don't see big lines for the flu shot. But some people think it's cool. I get a flu shot and then I get a coffee shot at the the gas station. I think it's very important that it's your body and you should be able to decide. So if I make a joke at the expense of people who do the flu shot, I apologize. It's their God-given right to decide what they want to put in their body. Yeah. The same way we never joke with meat eaters. It's their decision. We don't think it's great what they do, but we have to respect that it's their body, their karma.
Yeah.
Personally, I would feel very silly if I think that I need a flu shot for the winter. Now here we get into a new dimension, because just like the flu is mutating every season and it comes back in a different form, the coronavirus is also doing the same. I think they say they already did jump from forms to forms. So it would be very naive to think that it will be always the same. Therefore, they want to make it a yearly thing to give you the update. And the concept is changing. Now they're not diluting viruses with pig cells or whatever cocktail to put in you and get a reaction, but they are developing DNA-based vaccination, which will make this tubes have now two needles or two heads. The ones that I seen being in development, of course, there is a long, hopefully very long legitimization process. But the two main companies trusted with coronavirus vaccine developments are working on DNA-based DNA vaccinations that will allow external sources to modify your DNA. So the new concept is that we're gonna teach you every year how to deal with this one, how to deal with that one, by having your DNA modifiable. And you have to see that it opens up a world with a lot of danger. You have to be very optimistic to think that people will use it for the good reasons. They might, but I don't want my DNA to be modifiable externally. Even being an optimist, and I am, but I don't want to open that gate, the Pandora's box, so to speak.
Yeah.
So I would not be enthusiastic about vaccines as long as there is a freedom of choice. Sure, make your own research and make your own educated decision. There is also maybe some danger group that could benefit from such things. But when it becomes a yes or no, a green light or a red light in your life, that's when you should think that's a new world order. I mean, how else you can look at it?
Yeah.
And I would not recommend it. I would recommend to think what you thought of normal before the 14th of March or whatever date it was in your country, and never forget that. Don't let your mind be recalibrated into thinking that what is normal is abnormal, and what was abnormal is now normal. Always think of those days. We lived, most of us, some of us lived 70 years. My parents lived 70 years before the lockdown. And even on them, I feel that there is a little recalibration going on. 70 years of memories and 70 years of learning what is normal, it went out of the window a bit.
Yeah, it's a huge brainwash.
In 2 months they fortunately they kept a sound mind, but I could see signs of some recalibration going on, and it was a big change, by the way, when we agreed to do a dopamine detox, so not look at moving images and media. Because with that, all of a sudden, the virus died too. If you turn off the TV, in most cases, that's the end of your COVID crisis. It's funny now, but it's true.
Amazing.
Yeah, there's one, talking about normal versus abnormal, there is one of the most abnormal countries in the world, Turkmenistan. Which is a dictatorship. The guy, I think, prints his own face on the money, and his whole news is about how he's the best horse rider of the world. That's a total crazy country. But that craziness shows us right now how crazy we got, because Turkmenistan banned the word of COVID-19. So in their little, crazy dictatorship, this word doesn't exist. And when the word doesn't exist, the crisis doesn't exist either. Don't think that the hospitals are full in Turkmenistan or any substantial crisis is going on. They choose not to talk about it for the wrong reasons, because they are a dictatorship, but they show the world that by not talking about it, you pretty much solve it. So that should be the power of turning your TV sets off, or be very selective of what you look, what you talk about.
It's the power of our thoughts also, the power of our consciousness, because the words have an effect on the consciousness, and this creates a reality.
Yeah,
and maybe
absolutely.
This brings us to the end point of our talk, that we can conclude about the relevance and importance of that what we do as devotees, the chanting, the spiritual process, how much this helps in the crisis, how much this boosts the immune system, how good this is for our consciousness, and in that sense, it's an all-around medicine.
Absolutely. I mean, I have to be clear that I'm not a devotee. I just admire these people. We are now here in Yandisbrunn, in the Simachalam center of your community. And I came for these exact reasons here. It's so uplifting and so good to see how normal it feels to sing together, dance together, see smiling faces together. Let's not go to the mask question, but it's really good to see smiles.
And I must say, this crisis, I really did not experience myself so much. Maybe if I go to this small village, I have to get a mask when I go in a shop. But besides that, here it was for us, it was more or less... Yeah, this was the normal. Our life was the normal.
Yeah, that's really uplifting and absolutely immune charging. The words, the emotions, if I said, like, scientifically, it's a sort of hard to see why that guy who eat in isolation or the guy who eat in with his loved ones had a different bodily effect. It's somehow where science meets spirituality, I think, because I wouldn't know what's the scientific answer, but it was mathematically, numerically measurable that it was a more acidic reaction in the isolated guys. So in that sense, positive emotions, positive words do have real effects. It's not a esoteric tale or a phantasmagoria. This is science, we can say so.
Yeah.
That what you think is what you're gonna say, and what you're gonna say is gonna make you feel one way or another. So if you keep that department clean and positive, oh my god, that's the best immune tip from you right there. It's better even than sun and water and organic vegetables. Is a positive mindset. I often felt that I don't want to downplay this virus, and obviously there were some parts of the world where serious reaction was needed. So I apologize if I made fun at the expense of anybody. I know that the reality of this virus was scary in some places. But often other places I felt that the virus is really living in the heads. Yeah. And that's something that you can do against with your advice, keeping a positive, loving mind, just really radiating love. It's a cliche, but actually love is the strongest weapon, I think. Definitely. Nobody can fight that.
And this is in Krishna consciousness the point, to love God. Right. And then through loving God, you love your next ones naturally. And through this, even you get sick, even you are in a very problematic situation, you can stay happy. Yeah. And understand this is also Krishna's grace. We see so many saints who were suffering terribly.
Yeah.
But had actually in one sense no issue with it. We might not be on this platform, but still there's a point to it, to see this is the main thing. We need a good connection to God.
Yeah, absolutely. So I go to bed with that thought, and then you're going to combine this amazing spiritual message with something bodily message, which is a good quality sleep. So if you just think about that, if you just meditate into the love that our Father has to us, and try to spread it through your brothers and sisters around you, then good night.
Yeah, that's what you said, all is very important, and we should also we as devotees take this health advice also serious, and it's then we have a very all around a nice lifestyle, which is actually in sattva guna, as we say, in goodness.
Yeah.
And then everything is very good.
Yeah, even though if you think spirit or matter, spirit is clearly superior, but if you don't have that car that carries you, what you gonna do? I mean, in that point of view, you really have to start with the body.
Yeah.
You really have to think of the health, because without health, you're just limiting yourself in achieving the real goals.
And this also was what Srila Prabhupada, also spiritual master, he always signs his letters with, I hope this meets you in good health.
Right.
This is what he said. So he gave much importance to health, because without health, how you want to practice Krishna consciousness naturally.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a super important message coming from a spiritual teacher. Then we can take it that the body is not to be overlooked. And I told you briefly about my health condition with the respiratory illness, and living a health conscious life. I can tell you that if I had something to do in the COVID wing of a hospital, I would go in. I would even shake hands. I'm not saying for anybody to do that, but I just want you to understand that this is my level of panic. This is my level of fear. I refuse to live my life in fear. I'm focusing on the part that is in my power, which is to respect my body, which is to keep healthy and spread the message of health with my loved ones and everybody I come in contact with, and I refuse to live in fear, and that helps also with the mental clarity. If I say that as a danger group person, because I'm in the danger zone with my health condition, then maybe you can also drop a little bit of your panic, drop a little bit of your fear. Those emotions are not helping you, and also they are out of your control. What is in your control is your body and your mind. So for the body, I think we went through some basics: water, nature, being with your loved ones, brothers, sisters, eating healthy, vegetarianism and even organic vegetarianism, highly recommended, and keeping your body fit and active. What you can do to the mind, I'm sure in this channel there will be endless information on that, and that's super important to keep the mind strong, to support a strong body or vice versa. Then you're gonna be well prepared for whatever comes in your way.
Okay, Martin, thank you so much for being here.
Hare Krishna, it's been a pleasure. I learned so much just by being here. It's been a pleasure and a blast to be able to chat with you.
Yeah, next time when you come, we can make another interview.
Yeah, cool.
So it's nice to have you guests back and tell us new things.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you for viewing. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel. If you have any questions, write in the video comments section, and see you next time. Hare Krishna.
Wow, that was cool, yeah.
You liked it?
Yeah, I loved it. Somehow there is something about the camera and the lights that you like step up your game. You're just not chit-chatting, but like it
you talk so well.
Gives a format, yeah. Well, I think it's mainly Krishna though, because otherwise I'm just an idiot. But sometimes I can sound almost efficient when I guess I'm listening to my heart, which is listening to Krishna. I often felt that is when I first got a book in the Budapest metro station. I started to talk about things that I was no way qualified to talk about, the creation of the universe and all these things. Somehow, magically, the words came out so good, and I realized this is Krishna. I'm no way I can say these things. I'm sure you have this feeling all the time, right? That Krishna is talking through you.
Yeah, that's true.
So in October I come again, and
yeah, that would be really cool if you do this.
That would be great. Fingers crossed. We just got caught up in our mind and the world returns to normal. Oh my God, I would love that. But there is also a chance that there is this second wave theory, which doesn't make any sense from a scientific point of view, because the sister of this SARS-2 was the SARS-1, which disappeared by itself. It exhausted itself. Right. It infected the number it meant to infect, and right now you have to go to a lab archive to find it. It's not out there. Yet they say that the SARS-2 is definitely second wave, third wave. Of course, if you have a plan, if you have an agenda, then you want more waves.
Exactly. For me, it seems so much like a plan behind it and all that.
Yeah.
So I cannot be so positive, optimistic, and naive.
I even heard doctors calling it a plandemic, not a pandemic.
Exactly, yeah, there was one Nobel Prize winner,
right,
who said that he researched this virus and said this was made in a laboratory.
Right. Yeah, I heard it as well.
So we just can hope that somehow other people are waking up and that the resistance is strong, because resistance is there also on higher levels. There are big people also who oppose that, and doctors, professors, politicians. So it's not that everyone is buying into it. So we can hope that...
The problem is, that's why it's a genius plan. It's a satanic plan, but it's genius how they did it. Because as soon as you speak up against it, they can be like, okay, you want to kill your father? Like you can be a bad guy like this. So they did it very well.
Yeah, very well.
And another thing is what Caesar said, divide and rule. Yeah. If you divide the people, they're not going to do anything to you. You can completely rule their life, because they're going to be busy arguing like, I have a diploma from this medical university and I think COVID is a fraud. I have a diploma from this university and I think you should be locked down. That's all they want. Argue, guys, until we roll out the real plan.
Yeah.
And if it would be just one vaccination and it would be the old school version, okay, you put a lot of rubbish in you. Probably I'm coughing because of vaccination. Because in the elementary school, I don't know how it was in Germany, but sometimes they said, okay, stand up, school doctor. And they put something, I even had marks. I don't know if it was in like this in Germany. In Hungary, I think before you turn 12, there have been at least 5 of these days, vaccination days. Whole class stand up, doctor's office. And one of these days, maybe not on the same night, but around that time, my mom remembers, I could not stop coughing. They came to my room like, you have a dog here or what? You cannot sleep. It's just and since then, I didn't stop coughing. So there's a lot of shit in those old school vaccines, but at least they are a one-off thing. What is going to happen here, if it pulls through, is that you are like almost like a half machine. You are modifiable. You're walking through a gate at the airport and they see what is in you. They see your health status, and of course it will be very easy to see your financial status and other things as well with this system. So I mean, that's why I said you have to be optimistic that it's used for the good, because there is so many ways to use it for the bad.
Exactly.
In October, we will see where the world went, and if it's really going to a second wave, then it will be good to sit down again